Hi, welcome to the Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at episodes 5 through 8 of Lycoris Recoil. In Japan, orphaned girls are trained as Lycorises, elite assassins working for an intelligence agency known as DA. The Lycoris' job is to keep Japan beautiful and free of crime. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be sure you don't miss the next episodes. Our story begins with Chisato enthusiastically announcing a new client, a paralyzed man whose wife and child had previously been murdered. They will be guarding him in case the killer is still after him while he takes a tour of Japan. The man is kept alive by machines and apologizes if the girls think that is strange, but Chisato assures him that it's normal for her as her entire heart is artificial, much to the surprise of Takina. Takina and Chisato take their client on a tour, with Chisato enthusiastically explaining what everything is. Then we cut to two inspectors searching through a tunnel. One shows the other a rock with a bullet stuck in it. The younger detective is appalled that the chief is covering up what he believes to be terrorism, while the older detective insists that they can't do anything about it. Other people appear in the tunnel demanding to know who is in there, and the two detectives flee. The two detectives, now on the surface, are greeted enthusiastically by Chisato, who thanks them for all the hard work they do. Kurumi questions Mika about Chisato's artificial heart, and he reveals that it is not technology from the DA. She deduces it is from the mysterious Allen Institute. Kurumi also deduces that in exchange for the heart, Chisato was given a mission, and she asks what that mission was. But Mika tells her that's for Chisato to decide. As the tour commences, the client gets hot and decides to go inside the boat's cabin for a little bit, while Chisato and Takina relax and have a drink. Takina begins to question Chisato about her artificial heart as we pan out to a mysterious figure watching through binoculars from the shore. The figure hops on a motorcycle and follows the boat. We then cut to Kurumi and Mika as Kurumi explains that the man on the motorcycle is an assassin known as Silent Jin because he does his job so quietly. Mika says that he knows him, having done some jobs with him before becoming a Lycoris instructor, and the team begins to prepare to deal with Silent Jin. Masato says that she will attempt to put a tracking device on him since he doesn't know what she looks like yet, but he shoots the drone Kurumi was using for surveillance. As the team scrambles, Jin attacks Masato. Kurumi releases their spare drone as Masato's communicator is destroyed, and Jin takes her hostage. Takina heads off to find Jin, leaving Chisato with the client. Kurumi informs her that even as Masato was being taken out by Jin, she managed to put the tracking device on him. Jin appears behind Takina and attempts to shoot her, as Jin flees with Takina in hot pursuit. Masato is freed from the closet she has been stuffed in by a construction worker, as Chisato gets a call informing her that Masato will be picking her and the client up to bring them to safety. The client slips away. Just as Takina is about to get the drop on Jin, she realizes that he had removed his jacket with the tracker to throw her off the trail and lead her away from the client. Chisato searches for the client, and when she finds him, he asks if Jin is there, surprising her, as she had not told him an assassin was even after him. He explains that Jin is the one who killed his family. Just as Jin is about to shoot him from above, Takina appears, firing at Jin with her own weapon, and the two of them fall through several scaffolds. The client informs Chisato that the real reason he hired them was because he knows about the pendant she wears and wanted her to kill Jin for him. Just as Jin is about to kill Takina, Chisato appears and quickly defeats Jin. The client appears and orders her to kill him. She explains to him that despite being a Lycoris, she wants to help people, not kill people. She holds up her owl pendant, and before he can say anything else, his life support machines shut off, silencing him. Mika comes and meets with Jin, asking him about his client, who he says was a mysterious woman, and that he didn't kill the man's family, as he was with Mika back when he supposedly did so. They are also informed that the client was identified as a catatonic, drug-addicted man, and that someone else had been talking to them through his machine via the internet. Chisato wonders why someone would go through all that to get her to kill someone, and Mika's eyes go wide. as we cut to a mysterious owl-pinned person at a computer, saying that they will proceed to use someone they refer to only as that man. We then see some kind of deal going down between a few men dressed in the same uniforms that the green-haired man's men were wearing. As one of them leaves, a Lycoris pulls a gun on him, but before she can shoot him, the green-haired man hits her with a sports car, and several of his men appear and shoot her to death. We end on Takina putting her head on Chisato's chest, remarking that there truly is no heartbeat, and saying it is cool. Takina informs Chisato that 4 Lycorises have been killed on solo duty, and that she will be staying with her until the gang, who has been killing them, is brought to justice so they can stay safe. At the cafe, Mika informs them that the DA will not give them any information as it's classified, so they will have to perform the investigation on their own. We then cut to the green-haired man, whose name is revealed to be Majima, receiving his next target from Robata. The new target is Chisato. Majima protests, saying that he doesn't care about the pawns and wants to take down the entire DA. He is displeased with his employers as it's been a month and Robata has failed to find him the address of the DA. He says that Robata had lost him 26 men and that if Robata does not start to produce results, he will balance the deaths of his men by shooting Robata. He gives Robata 3 days to find the DA headquarters. As the Robata fails to do this, we cut to Kurumi informing the girls that hacking the DA is a piece of cake. That night, 2 thugs set off the alarm at Chisato's safe house, and she easily beats them up and sends them running. Robata is filming this from a drone, and as he is, Majima and his men break down the door. Just as he is about to execute Robata, the video of Chisato beating the thugs plays, and he tells Majima that she is the top Lycoris, and that if he does not eliminate her before assaulting the DA, his plan will fail. Kurumi speculates from what she's learned from hacking the DA that perhaps the killer has caught on to the Lycoris' uniform, so Chisato goes on a delivery with a poncho covering her uniform, thinking it will keep her safe. Just after she leaves, Kurumi reveals that the assassins knew the faces of the Lycorises that were killed from DA drone footage, and that she was the hacker who had previously hacked the DA for a client, and that they had paid her to hack it at a specific time. And this allowed the terrorists to steal the guns and cost Takina her job. She also reveals that the assassins have photos of Chisato's face. The group scrambles to find her as Majima hits Chisato with his sports car, and his gang shows up to finish her off. He pauses when he sees her owl pin, and she leaps up, having only pretended to be unconscious, and takes out a bunch of his men. As the rest of Majima's men pursue her, he examines the rubber bullet fragments that had hit his men. As he attempts to kill her from the side of a van himself, he is shocked at her speed as she takes down his entire van and sends him sprawling. He catches her off guard and begins beating her in a fight as Kurumi locates them and sends the group in to rescue her. As he has her on the ground with a gun to her head, he asks her about her mission and indicates that he knows she's an Alan Lycoris. His gun is shot from his hand by Takina, who begins dropping his men with her gun. Chisato grabs her own rubber bullet gun and fires as well. Once safe and sound at the cafe, Takina confronts Kurumi for all the trouble she's caused. Kurumi apologizes, and they tell her they forgive her, but she has to stay with them until the mess she made is cleaned up. She agrees and tells them she found out Majima's name. We then cut to a very angry Majima kicking down Robata's door. He tells Robata that he's excited to be hunting down Chisato as she is interesting. Chisato and Takina attempt to draw Majima's face for the DA to comedically disastrous results. Sakura remarks that art should be a requirement in Lycoris training. As Chisato is looking at the drawings and Majima is rewatching footage of their fight, they both grin in admiration of the other's skill. Chisato sees a message on Mika's phone about meeting somewhere called Bar Forbidden and ponders this all day and night before asking the rest of the group where he is after closing. She worries that it's Kusunoki trying to get back to the DA. They find the bar Mika is going to is members only and have Kurumi make them fake memberships. Majima finds out that Chisato is the person who stopped him at the radio tower incident. Robata gives Majima a USB that can hack the DA as long as it's put into the DA system physically. Robata sends fake distress calls from all over the city to scatter the DA's Lycorises, enabling Majima to assault a police station. Sakura and Fuki visit the cafe to show Chisato footage from the attack, and she confirms for them that it's Majima. Mika heads to the bar, and the girls head there as well, dressed in fancy attire. Mr. Yoshi shows up to meet Mika, and all of the girls assume it's a date and begin to leave, until Chisato hears them talking about her. She tries to question him, but he simply tells her that Alan children have their own purposes, and to ask Mika about it. He leaves, and Mika follows him, pointing a gun at him and demanding he free Chisoka, but Mr. Yoshi says she has a talent for killing and that Mika was entrusted with her so he could nurture that talent. Mika can't pull the trigger due to their history together and sadly sits next to Chisato at the bar. Mika apologizes to Chisato, but she just laughs and says not to worry about it. The next day, Chisato is late for work but arrives with a bright smile, and the entire cafe is excited and full of joy to see her. We find out that the cafe is losing money, and Takina vows to take over the finances. We then get a montage of Takina micromanaging everyone's activities, from Chisato's bullet usage to Mizuki leaving the fridge open as she cooks. By the end of the montage, Chisato is only firing one bullet a mission, and Takina unveils a new hot chocolate parfait for the cafe that becomes incredibly popular for looking like poop. After another montage of jobs, this time in Halloween costumes, they find the cafe has made more money than ever. Takina makes Chisato promise to get a physical, but the next day, the doctor calls and asks where she is. Takina confirms she's not at the cafe and calls her. We then cut to Majima pointing a gun at Chisato in her apartment. The two of them have the same taste in movies and have coffee together in Chisato's apartment and talk. He recaps what had happened at the radio tower incident and how she single-handedly stopped him and his team, and she says she has no memory of it. He then pulls out an owl pendant of his own and tells her that Alan is not a peaceful, helpful organization like she seems to think it is. He leaves, having heard Takina arriving with his super hearing, the gift he has similar to Chisato's super sight. Worried that Majima had found Chisato without Takina knowing, Takina tells Chisato that she will regularly check up on her via phone, and that if she doesn't answer within 3 rings, she'll know that Chisato is in danger and will come to rescue her. Takina convinces Chisato to finally go to her physical, which she has been putting off for several episodes, much to the doctor's annoyance. Chisato reveals that she does not like physicals because she's afraid of needles, but goes anyway, and she is drugged by a woman working for Alan. Takina calls Chisato to check up on her because she's late for work, and when 3 rings go by on the phone, Takina knows Chisato is in danger and prepares her weapons for a rescue mission.